one of those road wins was at Nebraska, and that was a kind of a crazy game.
It was.
Up, down,
Yeah.
and you rally at the end. What do you expect from the Cornhuskers coming in here knowing they kind of let one get away at their place?
Yeah, we know it's going to be a tough game. We had just played them a couple weeks ago. We respect who they are and know how tough-minded they are. And if you look about it, it's the way the Big Ten is this year. I mean, they're 3-4, but their last 2 games they lost at the buzzer when they were winning by 1. So, I mean, 2 shots don't go in. They're 5-2, just like we are. And they've won at Indiana. They've won at Maryland. So they have our attention. Our guys know that this is a good team. This is a tough-minded team, and we're going to have to play really well in order to beat them tomorrow.
Chris, when did you know that you had a club that could get to the NCAA tournament and have the best 20-game start in this school's history?
Well, I think there was a quiet confidence to us starting this summer and into the fall. We had a lot of guys back. We knew we had Vic Law coming back, who was a big part of our team, who was injured the previous year. There was kind of a swagger to the guys that I could sense. Mm-hmm. They felt good about where we were. They felt we had enough. The way they were practicing, the way they were preparing, I knew that we had a chance to be good. Now, were we going to carry it over to the games? That was going to be seen, and we knew we were going to have a tough schedule early on. So, I think the guys, without being boastful and talking about it too much, just the way that we were carrying ourselves in the off season, I started to see us be boys starting to become young men, which is a good thing for a coach.
Mm-hmm. Chris, before the Big Ten started, I asked you if you had a young team or a veteran team. You said veteran some days, young some days. After this stretch, can you change that?
Yeah, I think we have a veteran team. I do. Whether what that leads to from here on out, I don't know, but you have a lot of guys that have played a lot of games, and we've been together for a while. We have 2 freshmen that are playing for us, both of them coming off the bench and doing a nice job. But the core of our team are, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and so, we rely on our experiences with that. Guys that have been through ups, they've been through some downs, and because of that, I think we've been able to overcome some of the things in front of us and figured out a way how to become a good basketball team. I think our experiences, no question. I've always said in life, you guys know, you get told things a million times, but until you go through it, until you see for yourself, you just don't understand. So you have to go through this Big Ten gauntlet. You have to see how tough it is. You have to see how locked in, how strong physically, mentally, how well you have to play together in order to win at this level. And I think through our experiences the last couple of years, we've learned to become that team.
There's so much of winning a game like you guys did at Ohio State with that belief at the end of the game.
Yes.
But on the flip side of that, the more games like that you win, the more the buzz starts to build, the more the hype starts to build. So what's the message to the guys about having that belief but not maybe listening to the other stuff that starts to creep?
Well, I feel like I'm the Scrooge all the time because I'm the one every day telling them they haven't done anything. But in today's, I love the fact that our program's starting to get recognized, that there's an excitement, there's an expectation level, people are taking notice of what we're doing. But I also have been around long enough to know about how quickly that can change if you lose sight of why you've gotten there. And we've done a pretty good job. We've tried to continue to stay single-minded with our focus with each and every game in front of us, and not to get swept up in what may or may not happen in March. To me, in basketball speak, 11 games is an eternity away. Mm-hmm. March is forever away, in my opinion. So to me, it's like irrelevant to be talking about it. I know for you guys it's not, because it's going to be here pretty soon, but for us, we got a lot of basketball to play, and our guys, I think, still realize. Last year at this time, I think we were 15-5. Mm-hmm. So, and we went on a losing streak, and it kind of ended our hopes. So, you cannot take your foot off the gas pedal. You have to stay what's going on right in front of you, and you have to figure out a way each and every night, and that's what we got to stick to.
How much has Scotty Lindsey matured in your eyes?
Oh, he's been tremendous, and that's what's fun about coaching at the college level. You see a guy who comes in, he's a young guy, has some struggles. Mm-hmm. He and I, it's been well documented, had a lot of really good, hard meetings at the end of last season about what he needed to do to become good, mm-hmm. consistently. He had been good with his talent, but it hadn't been a consistent effort. And to see him invest the way he did last offseason, and to make the changes in the way he approached everything, how he worked, how he dedicated himself to becoming this guy, and then to see it happen for him. Mm-hmm. To me, that as a coach, a lot of times that's more memorable to me than the wins and losses, and really proud of the guy he's become, and we've needed it. He's been awesome so far this year.
Was there a moment you realized he was going to be good to score for you guys this year?
I mean, we always knew we had it in him. I mean, you'd see him in practices, and even in the last couple of years, there were games where he showed he could be that kind of a scorer. It just wasn't consistent. And, you know, I think early in the year when he started stringing some games against good teams, you know, back to back to back, all of a sudden we said, man, we think we got a pretty good player here, and it's starting to click for him. And he's a very confident guy. He always has been that. He's always believed in himself. He's believed he's good, and I like that. And now that he's added the maturity to his game and the experience with what he's gone through, it's really raised the level of his play.
You've got a sellout on Sunday for Indiana, looking for another packed house tomorrow night in Nebraska. How does it feel for you as a coach to truly have a home court advantage when this place is packed and the energy is buzzing like it was for that Iowa game?
Oh, it was awesome, and it's what I envisioned when I first came here. You know, just I know how basketball crazy this town is, and so I knew if we could put a product on the floor, you know, that would be exciting to watch. We could win some games. I knew, you know, it's like if you build it, they will come, right? The old movie line.
And you are going to build it next season.
Yeah, exactly. And we are going to build a new facility. But, you know, I felt like once we could, you know, kind of show the product that we could put on the floor that would be fun to watch, I knew that, you know, this could be a great place to play. And I always say, I mean, my last high school game was in here, and it was packed, and it was as good as atmosphere. Played Stevenson and super sectionals, and that lived with me forever. And I knew coming back, man, that could be an awesome place to play. And to see the crowds we've gotten these last two home games against Minnesota and Iowa, I hope it will continue because these guys deserve it. I mean, the work that our guys are putting in, the investment that they've put, how badly they want this to be good. To get that kind of support means a lot to us.
And you also get support from the football side of this. I mean, Coach Fitzgerald was in Columbus for that game on Sunday.
How awesome was that?
Yeah.
I mean, a couple of times I glanced behind, he was giving me that look like, you guys better do this. And, I got my act in order real quick. But, you know, I said, to me, he is Northwestern. Mm-hmm. And for him to be as supportive as he's been towards us and what we're doing, you don't see that everywhere. Mm-hmm. And, you know, he and I have become really close friends. You know I can lean on him. He's been an amazing resource for me in terms of growing to love what this place is all about. Mm-hmm. And so to have him there rooting us on, to be with us in Columbus was awesome.
Chris, what's your assessment of the Big Ten as a whole this season?
You know, I know it's getting a bad rap as being down, but, you know, I think what you're seeing is we might not have those, like, superpower teams that we've had, you know, with the Kaminsky-Decker teams of Wisconsin in the past, or some of those Michigan State teams that were loaded with pros and just had talent, you know, up and down their roster. I think from 1 to 14, though, it's really good, you know, and I think the parity is better than it's ever been since I've been in the league. I think it's as competitive, and the games night in and night, there are literally no off nights. And I think some great teams will emerge, and you're starting to see it with Wisconsin. You know, they got an older team, and Purdue, you know, with what they have, and you're seeing what Maryland's doing. I mean, they were off to a good start. And then I think there's a bunch of us that are still evolving. Hopefully we're in that group as well of teams that are continuing to get better and going to put some good efforts down the stretch. But I think we're getting kind of a bad rap for being down this year. And I think it's just maybe because there isn't that top 5 team or that top 3 team in the polls. But I think top to bottom, it's as competitive as it's ever been.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
You said that he's always been confident.
Yeah.
Did he always play confident, or did that just come with the maturation?
No, I think he always had a big belief in who he was. I think it led to some stubbornness, you know, that can be good and bad. I mean, we always say some of our greatest strengths are our weaknesses at times. I know mine are. And so I think because he was always a highly confident kid, he thought he could just go out there and do it the way he had always known. And when you get to this level, you got to make changes. I mean, we all do. I mean, you got to learn. You got to work a little bit harder. You got to pay a little bit more attention to detail. You got to be a great practice player day in and day out. And really, those are the things, those are the changes that he's embraced to add to that great confidence. But no, his confidence has always been there, and that was one of the reasons why I really liked him as a high school player.
One of the greatest resources that you can have, and one of the best basketball minds I've ever seen, is your dad.
No doubt.
Has he? Have you had a chance to chat with him during the season or whatever? I know it gets kind of hectic with what he does and what you do.
Yeah, you know what's been fun is because he's broadcasting now full time, it's allowed him an opportunity to be around a lot and to, the thing that I love, we're the best of friends, and the big reason of that is because of both of our passions for basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom and my wife get mad that we'll get together and the talk is just hoops. And can we talk about something else? And but it's we both love the game so much, and what I've appreciated so much is he understands that this is kind of my thing, and he's a dad first, but also an amazing resource for me second. So he allows me to go to him for things if I want advice. And the thing he's really helped me more than anything is every NBA situation he took over was a rebuild. And so he's been through this multiple times and trying to build a culture, a foundation, and what it takes. So more than X's and O's, it's been more the foundational cultural stuff that I've been able to really lean on him for advice for.
So you haven't had to say, Dad, I got this, back off a little bit.
Sometimes I may think it, but it's still Dad. So I got to still show that respect. But
right.
No, he's awesome about that. If he does stop by, he pops in, he sits up in the seats and doesn't say a word. And then what's cool is the players will go over and go talk to him afterwards, and they hear all the Michael Jordan stories and the old of him playing, and I love that. He's kind of been like a grandfather to the program, which, as you guys know, there's no better basketball mind than him out there. So if anybody's talking to my guys, I'm glad it's him.
You talked a little bit about your veteran players. What role have they played in kind of helping the team stay focused?
Oh, they've been the ones that have done everything. I mean, I take no credit for any of this. I mean, it's fun when you have great veteran leadership because those guys control what's going on within the team. And really, my job has been easy this year. All I have to do is come up with game plans with my staff and work on things on the floor. What kind of offense are we going to run? How are we going to defend this team? I've had to spend no effort at all this year talking about attitudes, talking about them being together, talking about unselfishness. I mean, they have done that amongst each other, and that's what makes it really fun. Those are the most fun teams to coach when you don't have to spend any time on those things. You can just coach the team, and I've been able to do that with this group.
Is this actually the closest team you've had?
I think they're very close. I mean, I see them. They're spending a lot of time with each other on and off the court, and to me, you play really well on the court if there's a connection off the court as well. I mean, it doesn't mean you have to spend time every waking minute with each other. But when you're in those tough moments, if there's a deeper relationship there, if there's a friendship, if there's a bond, you're going to rally around each other a little bit closer. And, that's what's cool. And it's not small little cliques on this team. I mean, they all get along. When we're on the road and you see team meals, it's not like you're always going to see the same 4 or 5 guys sitting together. It could be a different group at a table every day, which I love. And, they've had a lot of fun, during this process with each other, working to get better. And that's what, at the end of the day, I love that because it's their time, and they only get a short 4 years to do this, and to see the camaraderie they've built is really special.
Last minute at Maryland, when this group was freshmen.
Yeah.
Last minute the other night at Ohio State. What's the biggest difference?
They believed they were supposed to win the Ohio State game. They didn't believe they were supposed to win the Maryland game. They were just holding on for dear life. And, that's a mindset. And that's something that you have to develop through experience, through time, through success. And, I think whether we win or lose a game, I think our guys are walking onto the floor now believing we're supposed to win. And, that's a big jump from where we've been in the past.
Coach, go back to Scotty one last time. He was really struggling around this point last year. This point this year is coming up 2 straight 20-point games. Is there anything in his game that has changed that has in the past year?
Well, I just think he's gotten better in a lot of areas. I mean, he's always been a good shooter, but now he's gotten himself in better shape. He's gotten a little bit stronger. He's dedicated himself more to the strength and conditioning, so he's able to play in longer stretches and stay fresh and stay sharp. I think he's really worked to become a better defender. That's something that wasn't one of his strengths early on in his career. Now I consider him a two-way guy. He can guard good players. He can rebound well. He's gotten better putting it on the floor. I think that's still something he's got to continue to improve, is being able to put the ball on the floor and create his own shot, because teams, now that you get a bullseye on your back, you got to work harder. And so the thing I've liked is he hasn't gotten satisfied. He's continued to work on his game. He gets in here extra, gets extra shots, gets extra work, and that's what the really good players do.